Okay, now that we have the other pieces coming together, we're going to make some trees, and we're going to add the nice snow material onto our hill. Let's get started. Okay, welcome back. We're going to start on the trees and some other materials on this one. We will finally be enabling an add-on. If you go to User Preferences, Add-ons, you want to search the word Node and enable Node Wrangler. It's not an absolute necessity, but it will be useful in my opinion. Okay, we're going to delete our default cube by hitting X and delete. We're going to hit Shift A, Mesh. We're going to add a cone. I'm going to cut it back to about 12 something and bring it up a little bit. Okay. I'm going to be just selecting the bottom face, and from the front we're going to hit extrude and scale inward. We're going to make it wireframe so we can see what we're doing. We're going to take it up just a little bit, scale it down, extrude downward, scale out, extrude, scale in, take it up, extrude down, scale it out, extrude inward, and just repeat a few times. Scale it out, extrude in. This time we're going to take it in a long way, then extrude down for a trunk. And that is a very basic tree. We're going to hit smooth. Now one thing I did do with it was I did kind of move it around a little bit. Now the next thing we'll do is kind of take every other vertex in each one of these cone shapes and scale it out and bring it down a little bit, and maybe scale that in a little bit more. I'll kind of pick the opposite, the ones that are inward the second time around to give it some variety. We're going to scale it out and bring it down, scale it out a little bit more, and just keep repeating that all the way around. And the last one. Okay, that's that. I will select the inner edge loops, holding down Alt and right clicking. We're going to shift right, shift, and then we're going to do the same right here, and I'll do it one more time here. We're going to skip that last one. Hit Control E. We're going to mark seams, and then we'll do this one by itself, just so we don't mess things up. Select all faces, open a UV image editor, mesh UV unwrap, and we should have a fairly decent unwrap we can use there. We're going to take it to cycles render, make a new material, diffuse. Down here we're going to hit new and create a new texture. I'm going to leave it at 1024 because it doesn't need to be super high resolution. We're going to make this kind of a nice green color, whatever color you want your trees to be. Hit OK. And now we're going to come here to the material we created. Under color, we're going to choose image texture and go to the one we just created. We need to save as wherever you want to save it. And now through texture, we see it like this. We're going to go to texture paint mode. We're going to select a white color and just kind of paint some snow randomly wherever you want to paint it. Just to make it look a bit more interesting. And you know, this is all whatever you like. And I like to use the smear brush just to kind of soften it up a little bit. And these are meant to be very, very low poly. I wanted a scene that renders very quickly. The final scene of the video you saw at the beginning was about 4 minutes per frame at 600 samples on a GTX 970. So I think I kind of succeeded. And go back to draw, select my green color again because I feel like I did it a little bit much with some of the whites. Okay, and we're going to save our image again. We're going to go to the node editor. I want to delete the diffuse and add a toon shader. It's what I used in the actual render. Use nodes to set a sky background just to kind of get a look at it. Fairly happy with that. The only other thing we want to do is in texture paint is we want to set this box here. We'll make it so that what am I doing? It's messing with me. Texture paint. It's on. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. We want to hit L on this area and underneath. Go for a nice brown color and just go to town on that. And you can get as detailed as you want to get. Maybe get some lighter browns in there. And you see that it's a little bit ugly because we didn't do a great job unwrapping, but we want to keep it extremely simple. So with enough smearing and a little detail, you can make this look pretty solid. It's going to just be background eye candy and nothing more. Okay, and that's how I did the trees in that scene. One set of trees. The other tree, we're going to move this to a different layer by hitting M. Move it to layer 2. Shift C to get our cursor back in the center. Now we're going to use another add-on that I forgot to mention. I should have mentioned earlier when we were dealing with add-ons. User preferences, add-ons. We're going to use sapling. Enable that and save settings. Shift A. This time we're going to go to curves, sapling tree gen, and it's going to generate a little tree like that. So the settings are over here. Bring this down so we can see those better. If you go to presets, you can get small pines, white birch. This is what I started with right here. With that, maybe we'll cut the the bevel back one level. It's going to be very low poly, and that actually is exactly what we want. We're going to Alt C and do mesh from curve, and now that is a usable mesh. Just search on textures.com for like a seamless bark texture. Any seamless bark texture will work. We'll make a material. I'll try to find one and add it into the description of this video before I publish this, but I completely forgot about it. Texture, image texture. I think I find out where my bark is located. Blender work, textures, maybe bark. There we go. That's going to be great. We're going to go with that one. I'm going to do text input texture coordinate. We'll try object. I think that works. Well, we need to change from flat to box, and I think that looks pretty good. And you know, we're only going to do a diffuse because again, I'm trying to keep this to be a really low poly scene. I'm going to scale that down significantly. I'm going to bring our pine into a different to the same layer, and I'm going to scale it down a little bit. Okay, so for appending purposes, we need to name these. And that's going to be it for those two. We're going to save those in their own file. I haven't been working on this project on this computer, so I'm a little bit off on it. New trees. Okay. So now I'm going to go find the one we were working on before. And we are back. I apologize for that. I did not save the files we worked on earlier in a place where I could access them anywhere. I work on 5 computers during the day. So I went ahead and recreated our original scene and made our simulation again. So now we're going to append our trees into the scene that we created earlier. We did new trees, object, we have the leafless tree, and we're going to append in the evergreen. Now, these are huge. Now you can go about this 2 ways. You can just weight paint the hill, use a hair particle system to distribute the objects. I personally just put them in place, scaled them, and did it to the camera angle how I liked, and just hang in and we'll add a few. So that's basically what I did. You get the idea. I'm not going to go and do as in-depth as I did before, just a few in there to work with. So now we're going to go ahead and make the material for the snow. While we're at it, we might as well set up our scene if I haven't already. I'm going to go to the world and use nodes. I did a sky texture. Now you may want to Google search for an image for like an overcast sky and have it at the ready, because when we do the snow, we're going to turn the transparency on for the background, and that is going to kill our sky. I don't like my camera angles, so I'm going to change those. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, we're going to just use a basic sky texture. I believe what I did was I went to my node editor, world, background, no, you know what, maybe I didn't mess with this. I don't think I'm going to mess with that. Sorry, we'll continue on. So we have that. Do we have a sun? I did not add a sun. I'm falling behind here. We will go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and add our sun. Whatever angle you like. Kind of eyeball it. The trees will start to give us a little bit of shadows. It feels like it's doing it on the wrong direction though. Oh, I wanted to make our sun a little, oh, we have a lamp, that's why. Make our sun a strength of 4, touch of yellow. We'll look at our scene. Change it to GPU. Yeah, I'm digging that. So we're going to make our material for the snow, and it's pretty simple. If you want very real look, sorry, I'm bumping the microphone here. If you want very real looking snow, Blender Guru has a phenomenal snow tutorial. It is absolutely realistic, but it does not render all that quickly. And what I went for here was just something that renders really, really fast and still looks pretty good. So we'll add our mix shader, we'll add our glossy shader, mix those two together. For the glossy, I go for kind of actually a dark blue, and I know that seems weird. Instead of using the factor, I tend to just make it darker because I can kind of eyeball it a lot easier and control the exact amount of gloss. So here we're going to add a noise texture. We're going to duplicate that 4 times. We're going to add in a texture coordinate, and we're going to run generated into the top 2 and not the bottom 2. Here the scale is going to be about 800, 1200 for the bottom one, and this is where our node wrangler comes in handy. If I go to Material, View, Control Shift, click on the texture, we can now see how it's looking. Control Shift this one. Give it just a slight bit of distortion. Then Control Shift on your last mix shader to put it back to normal. We are going to add a color mix RGB to mix these two together. We're going to then add a vector bump. This color into the height, the normal into the normal of both the diffuse and the glossy. And our strength, I think it was about maybe 0.09. Now we'll go rendered. And we're getting there. You kind of got the basic snow shape. Down here on our other two noise textures, we're going to do a scale. Let's try 6.3 and 20. We're going to do a color mix RGB, and we're going to change it to add instead of mix. And then we're going to do a converter color ramp. This is really just to turn it to black and white just to make sure. Converter math, multiply, the color goes into the top, this goes into our displacement, and doesn't feel like it's as strong as it could be. Basically crank that up until it looks how you want it to look. Maybe a little more on the color ramp itself. Not bad, not bad. I'm going to make this slightly darker on the glossy. Now we'll go back to our timeline. Kind of check it out at various locations. And it looks fairly good. When I redid this, I got some stretching in my mesh, and I guess you would fix that. I'd really fix that by doing it over again and making the mesh more uniform. I kind of rushed that to fix it, but it's not bad. I'll accept it, and hopefully yours isn't doing that. If it is, just kind of remake your plane and add the canvas brush to it again, and it should be good to go. And we're going to move on to adding snow and compositing, which we'll do in the next tutorial.